And welcome back to Fan Talk.
Today we are going to talk about Terminator, Dark Fate.
And it's Dark Fate.
It's Dark Fate, yes. Okay. I've had a bit of time to, digest this movie now, and I'm going to start off with some of the strong points about the movie. Overall, I think it was actually...
Lies. There are none. There are none.
Movie, just by itself, without the continuity, without the franchise, without the history, isn't bad. It's...
Go ahead.
The action scenes are very entertaining, especially the first half action scenes. The second half I thought were a little too dark. The character, especially of Grace, was good. Linda Hamilton gave it her all. Arnold does what he does best, playing a robot. And a lot of it was better, as even within the universe, it was better than Genesis by far. It was better than Salvation. I'm not going to make a judgment call on whether or not it's better than 3, Rise of Machines yet, because I've just seen it too recently and it's too fresh. I need to let that one kind of sit for a little bit. But overall, I think 3 was better.
Yeah.
But some of these other movies, and I'll kind of get into this as we go through this review, if they'd done things differently, it could have saved each of those movies along the way. We're going to be doing a deep dive on this today. And also, spoilers, we're going to be covering some major plot details here, including, I see dead people type of spoiler if you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, so all that aside, if you haven't seen the movie, pause this, go watch the movie. Don't judge me for telling you that afterwards, and then watch this. My saying on what you're just now talking about is this. I'll bite my tongue and I'll say, yes, if I had went and watched Terminator Dark Fate, and I had only seen...
And you're a casual...
and I had seen no Terminator movie.
Or you're a casual fan that doesn't really have any investment in the originals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But let's just say, I'm just being nice right now and say I've never seen a Terminator movie, okay? So I just go in, I'm like, this movie is just called The Terminator Dark Fate. It has no other movies tied to it. It's just a standalone movie. I would have been like, oh, well, that was a cool movie. I don't really know why that opening scene, which we'll get into, happened that way without explaining a little bit more. But overall, as a movie, I'd have been like, yeah, this isn't a bad film. Because it kind of explains a lot as it goes through. Even that opening scene, there's enough there that if you hadn't seen any other movie, you could kind of put 2 and 2 together. And then I would have accepted that. And I would say, as far as the acting, it was good. The characters were good.
And the action was good.
And the action was good. As an overall film, a standalone film that's all by itself, okay. But that's not what this film was. If Cameron would have went and made that film, he should have went and wrote a film and made that robot film. And made another future film. I mean, he could have done a whole other film and not called it Terminator, and we would have accepted this. He could have even made it like same world, right? Same universe. Like some people have said, like Aliens and Predators, the same universe, right? Do a whole same universe thing, different future, this, that, and the other. I mean, there's some things they could have done with it, but no, when you're going to do a direct sequel, and my whole problem with Rian Johnson, you do a direct sequel, you have to take what the fans want and the world that you've built and live within it. And this film did not do that.
Yeah, it's a shotgun blast straight to the chest is what it was.
Yeah, literally. And let's open with that. I want to bitch about that for 1 second here.
Our boy JC.
John Connor killed in under 3 minutes in the movie.
And not just any John Connor. It looks like basically the next day after T2 ended, he got shot and killed.
Yeah, it's like a week, maybe a week later, because they made it to Mexico. Obviously, they're in Mexico, right? But they're in Mexico, and Terminator walks up. First of all, Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor knows what these Terminators look like, right?
Yeah.
Yet this guy strolls right past her with a shotgun and blows her son away right in front of her eyes, right?
Everything that we went through as a fan base in Terminator 1, Terminator 2.
And that's my biggest problem is you start off a movie with any fan or even just somebody that knows films. If you know films and you've done a little bit of research and you know a little bit about movies and writing, okay, one of the things you don't want to do, which you've gotten on to me before when we talk on this show about you could do this. Well, that kind of undoes the rest of the story. And as a writer, you don't want to just do that. It's lazy writing. right? He does that. It's very lazy writing. It's like, I'm just going to take this character that everybody's invested in for at least 2 movies, right? Because this is
and he's
but like
prominently featured in every of the movies.
In every single one of the movies, he's a prominent character. He's very, very important, and then kill him off instantly. And on top of that, it now undoes the first 2 movies.
Why do I even care about watching T2 now if I'm taking this as canon?
Yeah.
Because I just know he's going to die anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Why would I go back and watch T2? Why do I even care about T1 or T2? They now are null and void. They mean nothing in the whole sense of the series, which...
Yeah, Sarah Connor's going to train the next one. Yeah, okay, whatever.
That never makes any sense, and that's just...
It just ruins her life.
Yeah, once again, I find it lazy writing. And 2, the other thing we'll go into in this film is there was no need for it. Unless we're going to get into the politics of things, of killing off male characters to make them all strong female leads. Which I don't want to get into that. And I don't necessarily think that, but I will say this. There was no point in killing him off. There was no reason.
They needed a new John Connor type because time's marched on. I think they need a new John Connor. They need the new next generation. There's a way of doing it without killing the one that we all loved.
Yeah.
And also, my thing, I think, the reason, here's what I think why they did this. They wanted Schwarzenegger in the movie. They had to write him in. They had to write him in as an old guy. There's only 2 ways you get to do that. One is he came back at some point as a good Terminator and stayed alive. They couldn't resurrect the Terminator from T2 because they melted him.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we're not just going to write a story in again that happened again. So we're going to make him a bad one. The only way to get him to where he can grow past his programming is if he kills John Connor. Hey, let's just do that. And just to get Schwarzenegger in the movie, which they don't need him in the movie.
No.
They could have done a cameo with his model some other way, but they didn't need him in the movie and therefore had to they had to write that in that way.
Just the whole thing too is like, you could have killed off Linda Hamilton's character easier. I mean, it would have been easier to kill off Sarah Connor and have John if he's not the Salvation now, right?
Right.
Because the timeline has changed. He was still raised to be that person, so he could have took somebody else under, like realized, hey, I'm not convinced that this world is really going to survive. I'm going to make sure I teach somebody what I learned and keep this going in preparation for a future that may still happen. And you could have used that character and still had that love of the fans instead of just killing him off. And you could have even had, Sarah Connor killed by a Terminator and he reprograms him, or something. There's a lot of different things you could have done with the writing. I really feel like it was lazy writing. I think it was a quick decision that was made.
It was also writing by a committee that had like 7 writers on this stuff.
Yeah, and I just think it was really a crappy decision to kill John Connor in the first 3 minutes of the film.
Oh no, I spent the rest of the movie like, are they going to do that? Is that a dream sequence? Like I was like, I was shocked there for a minute.
As a fan that knew what was coming because I had talked to you before I watched it, and then I was like, just tell me. I gotta know. And I went into it expecting it, and I was still so pissed off I wanted to walk out of the theater. I was like, here's that scene.
They set you up great because they show you the footage of Sarah Connor in the nut house, like going like 20 million sunblocks and have a real bad day. You're like, yes, this is gonna be awesome. And then that.
Yeah, and you're like, this movie, I'm out. And I mean, and that showed in the box office. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It showed in the box office.
A couple other things I wanted to criticize on the movie. Schwarzenegger's character, Terminator, learned how to be among humans, right?
Yeah.
In the deleted scene from T2, they had to reset his switch in his head to get him to be a learning one.
Yeah.
So I guess they're assuming that deleted scene is no longer canon or part of it, because before it was optional.
Yeah.
So that has to be optional. That has to be no now for this to work.
Yeah.
Because he didn't learn unless a little switch is done. Another thing is the alternate ending from T2 obviously doesn't happen now, where Judgment Day never happened. John Connor's a senator.
Yeah.
So that's out, and that's part of T2. So it's like they're really nitpicking on exactly which version of T2 they're going for as well.
Yeah.
Another issue I had was in the movie, and this violates its own rules in the movie. Sarah Connor's like, I get this text message, and then a few days later, I go to the coordinates there, and then the electrical storm starts, and I turn into pops out, and I kill him.
Yeah.
Where was she when this movie opened on those 2 electrical storms? She didn't show up until it was perfect timing for her to do so on the highway. Was she following them?
Yeah.
How did she? And why did she wait to then to step in?
Yeah.
I was like, that made, other than being a cool scene of an entrance, that made no logical sense.
Yeah, she should have been there whenever old dude appeared in the freaking ghetto. Boom! And he just appears in that apartment complex. She should have been there, ready to smoke his butt.
Yeah.
But she wasn't.
Right.
Exactly. It is bad.
Or there when Grace showed up.
Bad writing.
And said like, middle of the highway that they've been traveling down for miles. She knows exactly where they are, so she must have been following them. Why did she just step in and help?
Yeah.
As I said, it's a great entrance as far as the movie, but makes a little sense logically.
Yeah.
Um, I thought I was trying to compare, like, okay, is this like, if I was going to consider this like, the third one in the series, does the tone and atmosphere match from T2? To me, it felt more of a match to Salvation as far as like the tone and atmosphere. It didn't have that dark, serious, like heavy tone that T1 especially had, and T2 also had very well. The music was different. Like, it didn't have T2 was great for its musical score, and that really just like drove home the seriousness and importance of all of it. And I didn't think they lived up to that in this one to make it totally match. Instead, like, especially with the daylight fighting scenes, reminded me a lot more of Salvation. Which, whatever, I'm just saying it just didn't have the perfect matchup. Oh. And also, there's so much to talk about with this. They're now saying, okay, and Cameron's saying, like, okay, this is the sequel to T2. And so this is the third one in their trilogy. But you have so many different ways that you can, as a fan, you can still choose and create your own ending. Kind of looks like how
it's create your own adventure, basically.
Yeah, because you can choose which one you prefer. You want the original ending of T2 or just the Dark Highway? You don't know what happens. Do you want the alternate ending of T2 where everything's good? Do you want the ending to be the end of T3? This war happens, that's it. Do you want the ending to be, at the end of Salvation? Do you want the ending really to be at the end of Genesis? Or do you want the ending to be at this one? You can pick and choose which is your favorite to go off of, because any of them are a valid option.
Yeah. And there's no, like, this doesn't say for sure, like, this is my trilogy to me. And here's the problems I had. Like, my problems, I think, are more deep as far as, like, if you're going into this world. Okay, because, for instance, I liked Grace.
She's a good character.
She was a good character. But as a protector, she was piss poor. And the reason for that is the medicine. Okay? You travel through time, you can't take anything with you. Right? It's totally organic. Nothing inorganic can go. So literally, when she gets here, she makes a statement like, "We're meant to, last because it burns up all our energy and everything. We can only last, couple minutes in a good strong fight. After 15, 20 minutes, we crash and we die if we don't have meds." Because
she should have stockpiled immediately.
She should have been stockpiling meds immediately. But she goes into that fight, and I mean, literally, when she's driving away from that first encounter with the Terminator, she's dying. If she wouldn't have had help, she would have died, and that girl would have been left on her own to defend herself against that Terminator. So in these other movies where you had a normal human soldier or a Terminator,
self-sufficient Terminator,
a Terminator that's been reprogrammed, you had something that like had drive and training to protect her
consistently.
Yeah, consistently. This girl with that augment, I mean, the way they explained it, it was just a bad writing in the way they explained it, because it's like, I know they didn't want to make her invincible. They wanted to show some weakness there, but there was other ways to do it, because they made that weakness so inherent that, like, realistically, she was good for, like, she had one chance to take that Terminator out, and if she didn't, our hero was screwed.
Yeah. And I think part of that is the need for the series to push the limits on the technology, and basically the bad guy Terminators in these movies have become superheroes.
Yeah.
I mean, originally it was a metal robot that, it was a robot, and it was tough, but it could be smashed.
Yeah, it could be smashed, it could be killed.
The T-1000 was the beginning of that, but it was done in such a great way in that movie that it was handled fine. And then you had the TX in Terminator 3, basically the same thing that this one was, liquid metal over an endoskeleton, same basic premise, but still you had to think of creative ways to kill it, and that one, an electromagnet. Mm-hmm. Salvation doesn't count. Genesis, you had a T-1000 on crack in the form of John Connor, and you have to have special ways of killing that. And then this one, that there's, without basically making up an EMP, which don't really exist in real life like that. That's a made-up technology. They exist as part of like nuclear bombs and other stuff, but you don't have an EMP that is that powerful just by itself, and that they're still working on. They're like theoretical stuff, but not like not mass-produced ones that they kind of hinted at there.
I can make an EMP with a camera.
That's not going to take out like a supercomputer.
Yeah, well, I mean, not going to take out a city block, but just as an actual robot right there. Yeah, I could destroy cars and stuff with one. I mean, it just depends on how good the technology.
Well, then also how good they're going to be protected against that kind of thing, considering they come from a robot.
See, I can buy the EMP thing a lot more than anything else. My other thing I can do is this. I can say that the liquid metal, the Terminator 2, I thought was a lot scarier because there wasn't any chip in it. There was nothing. It was just complete liquid, and it was like it almost
And
seemed,
it's played very well by Robert Patrick.
it seemed indestructible.
Yeah.
These guys in Genesis and in this one, I feel like, I mean, I could be totally wrong here, but the vision I got is once the liquid metal was off that skeleton, that's where the chip is. That's where everything is. If you kill that, the liquid metal just turns to liquid and it's dead. So you just need to destroy that. That's a lot more destructible than, say, just a total liquid, T2 Terminator. So I felt like if you could have got that endoskeleton and even the original Terminator compactor, hydraulic press, you'd been like, I win. Where, T2, it would have just like eased out the cracks, rebuilt, and you'd have been like, oh my god, no, you can't kill this guy. It's like, he's invincible.
But they made these bad guys so like superhero-like that they become almost invincible without some super special technology or just dumb luck.
Yeah.
And they now feel like they're needing to do the same thing on the good guy side of it. Augmented human.
Yeah.
Like to up the ante.
And an augmented human makes sense in that world. I mean, you're going to, at some point where machines have become this advanced, you're going to learn to use those machines for yourself to some extent. And so, I mean, I can buy into some of it. I'm just saying
that foundation was laid in Salvation.
The way it was laid out in that film is like, literally, like when they're driving away and the Terminator still chased them, I mean, that hero would have been screwed if she didn't get her those meds. And the other problem I have is with the other main character, the new John Connor, as Lynn Hamilton will probably put, she's John,
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, here's the thing. John Connor, in that world, okay, we're looking at a world that they said that there's a lot of survivalists in the world, right? There's a lot of people that hoard guns and shoot guns. We live in Oklahoma. We know this, right?
Yeah.
But in the world of Terminator, right, everybody still dies. It took a special boy, a boy who was trained extensively from his mom, who had a glimpse into the future
natural leader
and prepared him as a natural leader to bring people back from the brink. Where in this, I mean, even it shows it's like the girl, I mean, and I'm taking away from the acting or anything, once again, I don't anything against the actor, but the character basically is just your average person who makes it through, has some gumption and makes it through, and just, it's like, no, we're gonna fight, and everybody's like, you're right. It's like, it made the character out like it could have been anybody. It wasn't like, if she died, there was just going to be somebody else. And that's the thing, is like, the whole idea that no matter what you do, Judgment Day still happens, because mankind as a whole, we have to learn from creating our destruction to not do that.
And you know what set that in place? That idea that our Judgment Day is going to happen no matter what is T3, which I think is the most underrated.
Yeah, me too. But that whole thing of where we have to go through it so that we learn from it, right? Mm-hmm. That I can get behind more than, that no matter what, there's going to be a savior. Because that was the kind of the whole point, was John Connor was an incredibly important man. So he was so important that if they were able to kill him, literally mankind probably would have gone extinct. And to just say that he's replaceable, right?
There's always somebody that could say that.
But it's like, but that's the thing. If that was the case, it should have been more of how this girl was trained and how like after this she kind of went and like becomes this person.
Yeah, Sarah Connor now the leader.
Yeah, but and that kind of was something that I thought was the salvaging point at the end of it. But in the future sequence where it shows her, there's no talk about John, there's no talk about Sarah, and basically you make it out that she basically takes this girl and realizes this is the girl that saves her life and takes her under her wing and teaches her so she'll be able to protect her, right? But there's nothing about how she learned, or what she learned, because it just seemed to her as like...
They skipped ahead on that.
Yeah, it's just there wasn't enough to support that character.
What I did also like in the movie was the description of Judgment Day, however brief, I thought made a lot of sense. Machines turn off the electricity, food stops running, people starve, and then they attack. Yeah. I was like, that's actually a bit more better than just like an initial nuclear strike.
Yeah, well, and she even says, like, and it makes sense that there was a nuclear strike, but the nuclear strike did kill off billions of people, but in the end, it was starvation that got people.
Yeah,
and that makes a lot of sense. In the end, it's like everything's radiated, you only have so many people, and the thing I did like about this was showing how people turned on each other. It's like The Walking Dead, I think, is a good series for that, is you see the brutality of man. Now they have, I think that the machines would have been wiser just to hold back, create their own utopia, and just stay back and let man kill themselves off.
Yeah.
Because whenever they fight them, it's kind of like Dr. Ozymandias, give them an alien so that they unite against the common enemy. Yeah. The machines gave mankind that common enemy. If they just left us to our own devices, after all that, we probably would have killed each other off.
So I think this movie has two basic issues. One is kind of things we've been talking about. And a lot of that is the underlying DNA of the movie, the actual basic story and script and stuff, not necessarily how they execute it with the actors and the scenes and everything else. That stuff was fine. It's just the basic, foundational issues. And then the other issue, and highlighted all that with the death of John Connor. The other issue is fans just don't have the interest, and that's the reason why the box office is.
And that's my biggest thing is my biggest upset with this movie is as a fan, I went into this excited. I hadn't been excited about a Terminator movie in a long time. I went into it excited, hoping to see something that's going to revitalize the franchise. Even if we didn't see another one after this, it was going to be a wrapping up a classic story, making it a real trilogy, and making it something that fans are going to love. And fans didn't like this movie because again, I feel like you went away from the fan base. You didn't give fans what they want. When you make a sequel, you got to give fans what they want.
Well, the fans that saw it didn't like it, but at the same time, tons of people didn't show up to go see it in the first place. And the reason is Genesis, Salvation, and even to a small degree, Rise of the Machines.
Yeah.
People have been burned on it so long, they just don't care anymore. They had the good two ones 25 years ago and 35 years ago, and now they're like, that was in the past. Those are two great movies. I moved on. I don't care anymore because everything since then has been garbage.
Yeah, and we talked about how that could really hurt it, but we also talked about if it was a great film, it would pick up steam, and that's what I was kind of hoping. I was hoping I was going to go see this movie. I knew it wasn't going to open up strong. We talked about even with the fire and everything. We're like, I think it's going to have Dark Fate when it comes to its opening weekend. Even
the word of mouth and goes.
I think you'll get some word of mouth. It'll pick up. It'll be strong. But this movie isn't going to get that.
Well, I just want to do a quick recap of kind of how we got from there to here. T1 obviously is good. T2, fantastic, groundbreaking, sci-fi action movie. There are very few kind of rise to that level. It was a big blockbuster its day, 450 odd million. And then out came T3 about 10 years afterwards, and it was a natural successor to T2. It could never rise to the level of T2 just because you can't do that. That means you can't do that twice.
That lightning only happens in a bottle once.
And that was meant to be the end of the series. And the biggest problems, in my opinion, with T3 is the occasional campy jokes in it that really detract from the super serious, dark tones that the first two had.
Yeah.
The talk to the hand, the boobs growing bigger, the Elton sunglasses. If they'd taken that stuff out, the movie would actually be a lot better. Like, I'd actually bumped up several notches in my rating. Having said that, take those aside for a second. It's not a bad movie. Still Arnold at pretty much peak Arnold for the most part. The storyline was solid. It had the nice twist at the end about you can't escape Judgment Day. It's going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
Expanded the universe a little bit with his generals and Kate and all that.
Yeah.
It had a lot of good things about it.
Yeah, I liked it a whole lot because I liked the fact that, it expanded the universe. Like, you see that the Terminators now aren't just going after John. They're like, let's try and get John, but if we can't get John, if we can take out some of his generals, then, that could affect the way the war goes. And
they tried a different twist on it by Judgment Day is going to happen. We're going to show you.
Yeah.
And going after it just did a little. It wasn't just about going after John again.
Yeah.
So there's a nice little twist on it. And if they ended on that, then that would have been fine.
Yeah.
Then they were like, we're going to do a new trilogy, Future War.
Yeah.
We're going to start with Salvation. It's going to end with the downfall of Skynet. And so we're going to do this based on 3 movies, and we're going to pump it out, and it's all going to go great. Salvation came out. It's a fun, action futuristic war movie. Thing is, none of the characters are relatable. There's no singular bad guy to go up against. It's just the generic Skynet. So the storyline is weak. The character and plot development's weak, and no one's relatable. I mean, the main character is, not very. He's a former murderer turned half machine that gives up his heart to John Connor. John Connor is Christian Bale, spouting off orders and not being exactly charismatic just yet.
Yeah.
So the movie fails on several points. Didn't get enough money made, and that trilogy was canceled.
Yeah.
So they're left floundering, and then came Genesis, which, in my opinion, is more like a theme park ride than a movie.
Yeah.
You hit all the
okay, Scorsese.
I'm just saying.
No, you're right.
It hits all the nostalgic points. It's a fun ride. I enjoy watching it, but it's in no way a good Terminator movie.
Yeah. Right.
Or movie.
Yeah.
But it's a fun ride, and they just threw the kitchen sink at that movie, like with everything they threw in: time travel, multiple Terminators, not the T-1000. John Connor being a T-3000, Skynet being a T-5000.
Yeah.
I mean, Terminator the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator getting an upgrade to being a T-1000 at the end of it. I mean, it was fun, but it is no way, you know, it should have been part of the series.
Yeah, it's like just keep doing stuff.
And that was meant to be the beginning of a new trilogy. Yeah. Didn't work out. Yeah. So then this one comes along, and they said they want this to be the beginning of a new trilogy.
See, I didn't know that they were going to make this a new trilogy. I thought this was going to wrap it up and close it up.
I was like, stop calling these beginning of a new trilogy, guys. It's not happening.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
At this point, Terminator's gotten down to 2 options. Well, 3, I guess. Never doing anything again at all, which it's Hollywood. Yeah. They'll try something at some point, even if it's 20 years from now. Terminator at this point is, in my opinion, could be wrong, we're done with these actors that are doing these. God,
I know what you're going to say, and you're right, but it irritates me.
We're done with these actors. We're done with doing this general storyline. If they're going to do anything, it'll be either a hard reboot that will keep some of the same elements of the Terminator story and universe, and just starting over with a brand new, like, you know, this is not John Connor. This is James Conrad.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. At this point, they're going to reboot it. They're going to reboot it because they're going to think, you know what, if we reboot start fresh, we can maybe pull that fan base and create it and go
something new. They need to stop doing liquid metal anything and go back to, I think, actual robots. That's what people are scared of in general, like, you know, robots taking over. You know, not be scared of a pile of mercury. Yeah. T2 done very well, aside from that. They need to get off that liquid metal train. It's been squeezed to death, I think. They need to do something different. And making it black like the new one doesn't really change that. The other option is forget TV or movies for a while and go try a TV series. Sarah Connor Chronicles was great. And if they try and rebuild a fan base with trying some different storylines within that universe, it's not all about being chased by a Terminator for an hour and a half. Then try and build up a universe and storylines based upon that. Yeah. And then at that point, if it takes off well enough, then transition back into the movies. Yeah. But I think those are the only 2 ways forward for Terminator at this point.
I mean, overall, like I said, I liked the 3rd movie because I felt like, you know, even set up the ending, like we were talking about in the end, where he's in that bunker and he's like right where somebody who is going to be a leader of resistance should be. You know, and none of these other films since then have done anything to show any kind of how this is all going to work. You know,
Salvation started on that. Yeah. With you know, the resistance, and because he wasn't the top dog until closer to the end of that movie. Yeah. And I would have loved to see Salvation actually had been a decent made movie. It wasn't that people weren't interested in a future war movie. Look at Mad Max Fury Road. Yeah. People do the dystopian future war stuff, so it wasn't that. That wasn't done well. Mm-hmm. And if they had done that well, that could have been a great trilogy. And that would have been shortly after The Matrix was made, you know, now they're fighting against the machines kind of thing. You know, it's not that people aren't interested in fighting against the machines. Look at The Matrix. Yeah. So it's the fact that they just weren't done well. And that would have been a great one. Genesis says that was like, you know, people coming together like, let's do a Terminator movie, make it PG-13. I'm glad they at least went back to R for this new one. And but I think too little too late, and they tried to force some things in here that ended up to some bad storyline ideas, mainly by, you know, I love Arnold, but at the same time, by forcing him as an unaging character, more or less, into these movies and have to explain the aging, you're forced into very few options that make sense.
Well, it's like they even like almost made a ha-ha about it, where, I mean, it's like they're sitting there and she's like, you know, so they don't know, and he's like, no, she's like, she's never realized that you weigh like 500 pounds, and he's like, oh, we don't have a physical relationship. I'm like, you've been with this woman, you're raising her kid calls you dad, you like basically are everything, you don't have a physical relationship. I get that, okay, I get behind that.
So what is it, Terminator like a Ken doll?
So in 30 years, this gal's never like hugged you, tried to pick you up, been horse playing around with you, doing something, and hadn't realized that like, legitly, you weigh 400 pounds.
Yeah. Your son...
You've never stood on a scale.
Your son has never tried to jump on you and wrestle you?
Yeah. Right? It's just like, no, I don't buy it. And again, it was like...
The bed doesn't creak like crazy when you lay on it?
Right. It just like... You know, like, you know, what kind of bed do you have? And I know these are like nitpicky things, but it's also like, I mean, come on. Like we were saying, you didn't have to have Arnold in this movie. A few tweaks... And not that I don't like Arnold, but I'm saying you take him out, just have a Terminator movie without him.
You could have the 3 women being the badass superheroines and saving the day themselves.
Took away some of that stuff from Grace where she needs the meds and everything. And
or tone that down slightly.
Yeah, tone it down. Made her like a legit cyborg that was pretty bad butt. And like, you know...
Because they kind of laid that foundation in Salvation.
Yeah, and you could kind of, even have the crossover between Sarah Connor coming in, and Sarah Connor's actually going to help train this new girl like she had trained her son.
Where's John? Always off living his life.
And this girl's going to help, protect her, basically. And you could have had that whole dynamic, and they still had a good movie.
Because they could have said, like, well, where's John? Like, he's off living his life, or he's still a senator, and tied into that original ending. But Sarah, having gone through all that torture and ordeal for 15 years at that point, and in her adult life, she's going to be stuck in this like thought pattern, like before Judgment Day, helping out and all the other stuff. And meanwhile, John went through that a little bit as a kid, and then he could have just moved past that and actually had a normal life for the most part after that. But Sarah could have easily still been like, okay, I'm part of this lifestyle. And then also, you don't have to explain what other Terminators have been coming through time and she's been tracking down and killing them, because you don't have to have like her getting those text messages from Arnold's character.
Yeah.
She could have legit not known about, when explain why she wasn't there for those two popping up, and just seen on the news like freak electrical storm, like, and now there's a chase on the freeway. Oh, I better get going.
Yeah. What the heck? I thought we ended Judgment Day. And then she gets in and she gets the story from Grace, and they hit it off, and that's them protecting her. I mean, there's like so much they could have done. And like, I'm just saying, you and me thought this up in like 30 seconds on the fly. These people were sitting in a room with 7 writers, and they couldn't come up with something better than what we got. And that's what ticks me off about movies, as these big movies where you got lots of people watching them, you have a huge fan base, that you got all these people writing for you don't want to just give fans like just, oh, whatever you want, we don't care about a story. I get that. But on the same note, you need to look at what your fans have enjoyed and liked, and create something that people are going to want to watch, because in the end, you are making a film that you want people to watch, right?
Yeah.
So how do you got 7 dudes, like you said, there's 7 collaborative writers sitting in a room, and none of them could come up with something that we could come up with in like 5 minutes, just sitting here babbling back and forth, that I personally feel like more fans would have enjoyed watching.
Here's how you get Arnold in it. You send back 2 good guys, because the bad guys send back 2 bad guys, 2 and 1. You send back Grace, you send back an Arnold original model. We've done the aging now. You can have Arnold be de-aged the entire movie. Look at Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah. And he gets to be in the movie helping out as well as a good version of himself.
They could have even aged him to like make him fit in better. I mean, it's like, it doesn't.
Well, then
matter.
I was gonna say you could have a future. You can even do a future sequence, like of old Arnold then at that point, like interacting with like Grace before she gets sent back.
Yeah. I mean, there's things you could have, like, him teaching her things that like the Terminators do or what. I mean, they're like, I don't know. I mean, now I'm getting into ridiculousness, but I'm just saying that like you can get they could have come up with more. They could have given us so much more, and they could have made a movie where fans and people would have went in and been talking about it. Instead of sitting here tearing this movie apart and telling people don't go watch this movie, we'd be like, hey guys, legitimately, this movie's great and it had a slow opening. We can go and watch it, and it'd pick up steam, and you'd see it picking up theaters, you'd see it picking up pace, and you'd be looking at possibly a better Terminator franchise. Because at this point, even if they reboot this dang film, which they will eventually, it's Hollywood, they're going to reboot it, but it's going to take forever, because they're going to have to put enough distance between them and the Terminator series in general, because people are so burnt. Like, after this, nobody's going to watch Terminator.
Next time it's out, it probably won't be called Terminator. And, none of the naming characters will have the same names anymore, but it might be a similar premise.
Yeah.
They'll keep some of the concepts in place and try and start over and sneak it in. Also, a big problem with this, and I don't know where the budget went on this, unless they're paying some people big money on the salaries, but $180 million to make that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and thinking it through, there's the Rev 9, whatever that was, the bad guy. Obviously there's some CGI stuff on that, but that wasn't, I don't think that is a massive effect, because they're not going on super like human level detail too.
Well, a lot of it has to do with like there's this futuristic sequences, but a lot of stuff with set designs. There's a lot of big set designs. You think about a lot of car chases and explosions. When you start having these big highway chases and stuff, they have to shut down whole sections of highway. You're blowing up cars. You're wrecking cars. I mean, honestly,
but a lot of that is practical effects, though.
Yeah, it is, but it gets expensive. It starts adding up fast, bro.
Yeah,
it adds up fast.
So there must have been some salaries in there to do that, because I mean, it has the same budget as some of those like bigger Marvel movies, and the effects weren't the same.
Yeah, I agree. It's still a lot of movie.
How much does it cost to crash a plane? Honestly. Oh, that was another thing, and maybe I missed the storyline.
You're like, that's another. Let us bash on this movie some more.
Maybe I missed the logic. Maybe I was reaching for popcorn and missed the part where they explained it. But why did they need to go on an army base, and then why did they need to jump in a plane? I was like, next thing I know, like they're driving. Next thing I know, they're in a plane, this massive cargo plane about to take off. I'm like, I didn't understand how we got from here to there.
Basically, what happened was she had wanted to get that EMP, and she knew a guy, and that guy had come from a military base, and he was doing treasonous things because he trusted her, because probably he knew.
So why'd they go back to the military base?
So he got shot because the Terminator came in, and he got shot and hurt, and he was like, the army base, we can protect you. And so he told her to drive onto the base.
I get that part.
And he's calling them, and they're going onto the base, and then they drive through, and it's like, they just let him drive through, and they're like, we're in an army base, so they're going to be able to stop it, and like they'll just be able to slow him down. And then they just see an airplane, they're like, let's just drive on that and fly away.
Let's get the biggest airplane that needs the longest runway space possible.
Here's the problem I had. Okay, we're right back into bash this film. Okay, I'm sorry, a Terminator walks into a police department. 150 cops. Terminator kills all of them. I can buy that. I can buy that.
We've seen it.
Yeah. Terminator walks into a legit military base. I'm sorry, folks, as in the Army, I don't care how badass he is. I'm telling you right now, a T-1000 walks onto a military base, and that whole base decides that sucker needs to die, that dude's going down, Jack. He's going down.
Well,
we have liquid nitrogen on a military base. I'm just saying. Sucker is going down. And on top of that, here's the other thing that got me. I'm like, it shows like 6 Army guys, you know? It's like, I'm just saying they'd have got the guy. Even if they just did Sean Pyle, you know, it's like they would have stopped him longer than they did.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is they're on the plane, they're flying, right? Mm-hmm. This is the part that cracks me up. They're on the plane, they're flying, they're like, okay, cool, we're flying. And all of a sudden it's like, refuel's here. I immediately start laughing to myself. I'm like, that's going to be the Terminator. And it is. It's like 30 seconds later. What did this guy do? He escapes the army soldiers, right? He immediately finds a fuel plane. So he has to find a fuel plane.
And guess right that's what they want.
And know that they're going to need to refuel while they're in the air.
Also,
then he's going to have to make sure it has fuel in it, right? Then I guess not, because it's not planned. But regardless, he's got to fly this plane, and then he's got to know where they're going, and he's got to catch up with them. And then he's going to be like, know all the passwords. It was ridiculous.
And then taking out this first jet fighter, the other jet fighter would outmaneuver that fuel plane so fast.
Oh, they'd just be like, boof. How do you get off the ground? Like, that guy, as soon as he got off the ground, they just shot it down.
Don't you know there's only one military base in the country? They have no backup?
Right.
That's another problem.
0 backup. Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, the second it transitioned onto a military base, you got to start having some real writing, man. You got to start, logistically, thinking about this. This is a United States military facility. All right? First of all, I don't care.
You don't think that?
I don't care how... That guy would have had been so high-ranking to make a phone call on his little, sat phone and then just be able to fly onto that post without somebody
without being in a hail of bullets?
Yeah, never. But let's just say that.
Or the barricades go on.
Yeah, this guy's I don't know, he's 4-star. And he knows people. He's flying up. We're coming, just be ready. Just him saying be ready. If he's that high up, there would have been such a response when that Terminator showed up. And then,
also,
he'd never gotten a plane out of that.
An attack on a military base, a military plane going down, and everything and also 2 jets.
Yeah.
And that dam was awfully quiet for a long time.
I know, for a long time, there's no response. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The second that you go into a military facility...
When planes crash, we know where they go.
Yeah, like a police department, everybody getting killed, that was a big deal. And it kept touching about, all these cops got killed, and everybody's
That's also back in the 80s, and communications was a different piece then.
And they still had everybody out in the world were looking for them, right? Yeah. Now you think about, you just walked onto a military installation, started slaughtering people. Modern day. Nah, yeah, dude. The whole thing, it just...
And after they took the plane and killed everyone in the plane crash, we'll go tomorrow. It's dark out.
Yeah. This is retarded, man. Yeah, the movie's ridiculous.
The logic really took a south turn in the second half of the movie.
Yeah, it's bad when I have all these people I told I was going to watch the movie at work, and I'm just texting them don't bother, don't waste your time. And they're like, that bad? I'm like,
if you're a true fan of Terminator, go check it out because you're going to be curious and want to see it. But if you're looking for the next John Connor,
yeah, you're looking for the salvation of this franchise. This definitely wasn't it. I do have to say this before we shut off because this is going on way too long. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. But you think this has affected Cameron and his
Avatar?
His Avatar futures? Because obviously this is the Avatar future is going to be done. He's going to do the films. But we're talking about 4. He's thinking he's going to do 4. Is it 4 or 6? It's 4. No, it's 4 more movies he wanted to do.
He was a producer on Terminator. He wasn't the director.
Yeah.
And they put his name on there like it had, he obviously had some input. The director still controls. So he can still wash his hands of this.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, though, if he personally looks at this as like a slap in the face and as one of those things that he's going to be like, ooh, I mean, does this hurt Avatar? That's my whole thing, is does it hurt Avatar starting out? Like, before it even gets to
Disney
that point.
Disney might control the budget.
Yeah.
Better, which means might step on toes. Yeah. That might, actually, you know what this might affect more than anything? Probably not an Alita sequel.
Yeah. So it's like...
They might be like, okay, you're still doing Avatar, but you don't get your extra bonus project.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, you hatch your name to something, you better hope it's successful, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah. This wasn't it. I love the Terminator series over the time. Even the bad ones, I've always enjoyed them. I enjoyed this one. It saw a ton of issues, and I'm upset with it on some number of issues. But I've enjoyed the run of Terminator stuff. But yeah, it's terminated at this point.
Terminated. That's Fantalk's view.
Yeah.
This movie has been terminated.
And Dark Fate could not have been a better title.
It's their title. It had a dark fate for sure.
Yeah, a couple of dark movies this year that came out that bombed.
Yeah. So
this is right there with Phoenix as far as level of money making ability. Anyway, thanks for sticking with us and watching Fan Talk. Please leave your comments on what you thought about this piece of cinematic history, and we'll see you guys next time.